Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Andre and I'm your bookworm, and today we have another review of Lord of the Mysteries, the anime adaptation of Lord of the Mysteries, the web novel. Here we are. This is the second last episode of the season, and it's very exciting. For the ones that are new here, welcome. We are just reviewing episode by episode the anime adaptation of Lord of the Mysteries, written by Cuttlefish That Loves Diving, or by their original name, which is Qian Shui de Wuzei. If I pronounce that correctly. It's kind of traditional already, me saying this every single time, but no one has corrected me, so I'm gonna say that I'm saying it correctly. Anyways, this is an urban fantasy, steampunk, kinda very mixed and very exciting. I've read the first volume. You can check the review here on the channel. I am currently editing the video for the second volume, so be excited for that. Soon it will show up. But going to the anime, I've reviewed every episode. You can also check that here on the channel. And today we're reviewing episode 12. Alright, let's get on to the episode because the episode was full of tension and build-up. Which, I mean, it's good because I enjoyed that build-up and we're reaching the climax of the first volume. So having an episode that just does that build-up is really good, and it really gives me that excitement to watch the final episode. But before we get to that build up, let's go to the start of the episode where we left off right at the start, or we started the episode right where we left off the previous episode, which was with Captain Dunn eating or devouring, weirdly, a colleague of the Nighthawks, Kenley, that had just died in a battle with the Demonance of lust, of pleasure, I think. This time we see Klein just hiding away and kind of just thinking what he should do. Should he confront Captain Dunn? In the end, he decides to send a letter to Mr. Isaac and a letter to Miss Daly, asking what he should do if they have any clue what is happening to Captain Dunn. Then we proceed to see kind of a funeral scene of Kenley, which was good as well because it shows us how dangerous it is for it to be a Nighthawk, how much the missions or just sudden madness can take you and you die, and so all your colleagues are just constantly seeing deaths of other colleagues and everything. And you see this with the secretary, whose name I can remember, crying yet again, saying that he was just engaged, he was just getting married. So there is that sadness, which I think is good because it shows us this is not a playground, it's not all fun and games. There is danger and there are consequences if there are failures. After this scene, we go into a flashback where we see Lenivas, which I kept saying Levinas, I don't know why, but Lenivas, and we see him just doing something we don't know very well, but at the same time we see Leonard, the Nighthawk, kind of retracing Lenivas' steps until he reaches a house. As he reaches the house, we go back to Klein, who is reaching his own house, being greeted by his sister, and so he goes into his bedroom and decides to use divination in the fog realm to try and figure out if there is any danger or if he can get any more information about Captain Dunn. The first divination he tries, he doesn't get any divination working because there isn't enough information for him, until he decides to change the divination a bit to ask if he would be in danger regarding this Captain Dunn's situation, to which the divination says that there is considerable danger. As this happens, he also receives a reply from Mr. Isaac through that big skeleton, and Mr. Isaac pretty much says that Captain Dunn's condition can be due to one of two things. Either he is a vampire, meaning he drank a potion whose name is vampire, which is very unlikely considering he is a nightmare, or he has turned into a mutant that needs to consume flesh. But as Klein is trying to understand all this and reading this letter, he gets scared by Captain Dunn himself, who is using his nightmare powers to tell Klein that he needs to go where Leonard is because Leonard needs some seer help. I think this is good. It shows us that the Captain Dunn keeps using his powers. He's acting as a nightmare so that he can progress through the potion, since before he didn't know about this method, but now he does, and he keeps working on it, which is accurate with the web novel. In the web novel, you do have that sense that he keeps trying to act as the potion demands. But anyway, so Klein goes to where Leonard is because there might be some more clues about Lenivas' whereabouts, And while they are there, Klein uses his powers as a seer and they find a letter. And this hidden letter reveals that Lenivus, before he left the country or the city, he planted a bomb, and that bomb will only grow with time and it will be able to destroy the city completely. With this information, they decide to go to the Nighthawk's office to report this to Captain Dunn and decide what to do. But before we jump into that scene, let me just say that there's also this thing happening with Leonard where we see his shadow kind of glitching, just vibrating a bit. And this will be important later on, but I thought it was interesting that they decided to start doing this on this episode. Going back to the story, once they get to the headquarters, Nagose, the woman who got pregnant by Lenivus and who has been showing up occasionally throughout the episodes, suddenly shows up there as well. And she says she doesn't really know why she is there, she just felt like going to that street and then a voice told her to go inside. And because Klein finds this a bit weird, he decides to use his spirit vision to look at Nagose and the baby, since he realized that he had never done that before. And as he tries to do that, suddenly his intuition stops him and creates this huge sense of danger, telling him to not look. And Klein realizes that Nagose's baby is kind of like a god, and therefore if he tried to look, he would just die because he would be looking at a god. And with this, they realize they have a huge menace in the building. The bomb is the baby, and therefore they need to not only find a way to figure out how to solve this problem, but also try and keep Nagose calm so that the baby doesn't get thrown out. Basically, she gives birth and gives birth to a god pretty much. With this, Klein goes away to try and alert Captain Dunn, and Leonard stays with Nagose, and Nagose basically tells the story of how she met Lenivus, how she fell in love and he was really nice. And it's very contrasting, this scene, because you hear her saying how nice he was and how in love she was with him, but the scenes showing on the screen are very disturbing, very heartbreaking, because he mistreats her a lot, and then you realize that he used her for the altar to basically descend this god into the baby, the fetus, and without her knowledge, or it seems like she was kind of hypnotized or not fully consenting to that idea pretty much. In the meantime, we do have Klein going with Captain Dunn and reporting everything. Captain Dunn decides to go to Chinese Gate to get artifacts that will be able to prevent the situation to go any worse. And so once again we see the inside of Chinese Gate, which is good, I liked it, and we retrieve 2 artifacts. One of them is a vial of blood that Captain Dunn says he can basically use it to capture the power of someone else, but for Klein he can only use it for half an hour, otherwise the consequences would be too big. And then as he is trying to think of a second artifact to bring in, something whispers in Captain Dunn's ear to bring the ashes of a saint. As they retrieve these ashes, which are kind of like the seal of Chinese Gate for that city, the ashes start feeding the baby even more. We see these wisps kind of going into the baby, and we realize that something is controlling Captain Dunn to do the wrong thing. And as the baby starts increasing or retrieving these energies, you can see Nagose start becoming more erratic, more mad. And then just before Captain Dunn goes upstairs to try and stop Nagose and the baby, he gives a letter to Klein saying that Miss Daly told him about the letter that Klein sent, and this is the reply. And this letter reveals a huge world-building detail, which is every Beyonder, when they die, the powers that they have don't just simply disappear. They get converted into what they call the characteristic of that Beyonder. And so when someone dies, if you belong to the Nighthawks, you have one of 2 options. If the Beyonder that died is not of your pathway, you give that characteristic to the church so that they can do whatever they want with it. However, if it is from your own pathway, you can consume it, and that will pretty much give you extra strength. No, it won't give you extra powers, new powers, but it will strengthen your own power. And at the same time, we do have Captain Dunn saying that doing this allows him to keep a part of his colleagues alive inside of him. With this explanation, we go back upstairs where Nagose and Leonard are, and Leonard is seeing that he is not being able to control Nagose, and she's going crazier and crazier until eventually she loses control, goes completely mad, transforms into this huge creature, scary and also disgusting at the same time. And the baby keeps absorbing all the energies it can, as we can see. And just before Megos attacks, or it seems like she's about to attack the team, the episode ends. So yeah, it ended on a cliffhanger. It ended really brilliantly. I thought it was a really good episode in terms of that build up, that tension, seeing Megos slowly losing control and the baby feeding off the energies, and you can see that something bad is really about to happen. But then you get cut off and you're like, have to wait for the next week, huh? But yeah, I was surprised that they advanced so much in this episode, but it just means that the next one will be full of action, which is where the anime shines, and there will be a big climax and a few scenes also of the aftermath. I didn't mention, but the Leonard shadow thing. The shadow keeps glitching or basically vibrating, and at a certain point it talks to Leonard, telling him that he should leave, he should abandon this mission, he should run. I thought it was a bit weird that they added this at this point, because in the web novel I don't think it happens, or we don't have that sense it happening. I know where it's coming from. It will be important in the second volume, although I think it would be better to be introduced in the second season rather than on this first one, because it will be left hanging, since there won't be really an explanation. I don't think they will provide an explanation for this. But I can also see that at the same time, it creates some tension about Leonard, seeing if he'll abandon his colleagues or if he'll stay and fight Megos. Now, do I have any criticisms for this episode? Just a small one, which was how the anime dealt with Dun's explanation. Because in the web novel, I felt that the explanation Captain Dunn gave, I mean, it's the same explanation, but I feel like it was more heartfelt in the web novel. The explanation of him saying that this way he gets to keep a part of his colleagues with him and that he feels them alive inside of him. I think that was much better explained, and it felt more heartfelt in the web novel. This one, it just felt like, oh yeah, there's this explanation, let's move on, there's a god to kill upstairs. But aside from that, the episode was good. With like every new scene, I just kept getting to the edge of my seat thinking, oh my god, what is gonna happen next? And even though I know what's gonna happen next, but I was like, what is gonna happen? Is it gonna happen? And I didn't even notice the episode go by so fast, because when it ended, I was just like, oh, already, okay. I mean, it makes sense, but now I want to watch the rest. But well, it's just a couple more days and we will be able to watch the final episode. Meanwhile, let me know, what do you think? Did you like this episode? Do you think this episode was a one-to-one translation from the web novel for you? Did you like? What would you change? Comment down below and let me know. Yeah, and if you're new, don't forget to subscribe, like the content, and you shall be seeing me on Thursdays and Sundays. Okay, see you soon.